use in trying, and all you get is pain. When I needed sunshine, I got rain. Oh, then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer, not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried.
Welcome back. It's the Brew Crew Review, back again here for our January segment, talking about the trades that have been going on. It's your host, Brian Brauch, and to my right, I've got the great Scott Bartell.
How's it
and,
going?
of course, the infamous Chad from Greenfield, Chad Collins.
How's it going?
We're here we're excited about Brewers baseball. We're here to talk about there's a couple big moves we made in the offseason. Just here to talk about them. The first one on the tab, the Brewers trading their all-star closer, Dan Kolb, to the Braves for their best pitching prospect, actually, Jose Capian. And just, what do we think we're going to be doing with this trade? How do we like it? What do you think Capian's job's going to be this year? Any ideas? Chad, I'll go to you first.
Oh, I think it's a great move for the Brewers. I think it might be a great move for the Braves, too, because they get to move John Smoltz to a starting rotation, and hopefully I'm going to root for Dan Kolb, even though I think his best days or best months, I should say, are behind him. He suffered from the dead arm syndrome, but it seems like it was a really good trade for the Brewers. I mean, to get something of this kind of quality, I mean, we're not going to go anywhere maybe for the next 2 years anyway, so we really don't need a, quote, all-star closer. So we might as well get some good young arms while we have the chance. I just think it's a good trade for both teams. I think Smoltz moving into a starter, that's what he wants to do anyway. And then the Brewers getting this great pitching prospect, someone with power, someone with pop. I mean, that's really exciting. I think it's a great move for everyone involved.
Oh, Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, well, really, the truth is, he's really, Capian, yeah. He's really, like, about 2 years away anyway. I mean, the guy's absolutely a fireballer, just like Kolb was. Mm-hmm. And we were going to have to pay Kolb an absolute ton of money next year, so
yeah,
I think
Scott
it was a really
Boras
good
is
idea.
his agent, too, so
right,
that's
exactly.
pretty scary in itself.
So there's no way we would have kept him after that, so it's really good that we got anything for him. But really, if you look at it, I think the two are very comparable. I think that really you could look at Jose and you could say, well, this guy's kind of a young Dan Kolb. And the guy's an absolute fireballer. The problem with Dan Kolb was that he was injury prone, which we luckily did not have to deal with here. He didn't really get injured. But he only threw, 55 innings last year?
Yeah.
60? I mean, I don't know. You need a lot more innings like that if you're going to pay somebody a lot of money.
I don't know. I think that Doug Melvin made out like a bandit in this deal. He got Dan Kolb for nothing, took him off the trash heap, and all of a sudden he turns around and gets the Braves' top pitching prospect, a guy that's not a joke at all. This isn't a Ben Hendrickson type guy. This guy's got major league quality stuff. We're talking about high 90s fastball with a hammer. This guy could be great. The only thing I don't know about this trade is I'm the biggest, I hate closers. I think it's an overrated position. But I think the Brewers, I don't know if they've been listening to me too much, but now they've apparently left themselves completely dry at that spot for the next at least a year because Capian's not going to be a closer. The guy's going to stop there in AAA most likely just because they don't need him in the starting rotation right now. I don't think they want him to be in the bullpen. I think they need him to get work. But right now, Mike Adams is starting the year as their closer. I mean, not that we're going to have a lot of close leads that we need to protect, but this guy is... I mean, he played well last year, but until that point, he was kind of just a no-name. And otherwise, what do you have? You have Jeff Bennett, who's a joke. Hope he's not on the roster, actually. And then the other option is new guy Lear, who's got a 4.2 ERA for his career. I'm not for sure, but I do love Capian. I watched him a little bit last year. The guy's got absolutely dynamite stuff. So I really hope that turns out. Do you guys see Capian starting in the rotation, or do you see him as a bullpen type guy, or are you looking at the guy in the rotation this year?
I really don't know. I mean, I think it's something you have to be careful with. I mean, I think Doug Melvin has a plan. I mean, he's got a plan going. Otherwise, he would have pushed Weeks up. He would have pushed Prince up, and he's giving them time. I'm sure he's going to do the same for Capion, too. I mean, why rush these people when you don't have to? Obviously, the plan should take effect within 2 to 3 years, so there's no reason to really push anyone. I mean, Ben Hendrickson, they called him up, but he couldn't do any more in AAA. I mean, he did everything he could, and it was good to give him a little experience. But I don't think you want to throw these young guys in the fire just yet. So whatever they do with them, I mean, I'm not expecting anything, to be honest with you, this year from them. But I think it's just a great acquisition. I don't know. I don't expect anything really this year.
Scott?
If he actually plays for the Brewers this year, I expect him to work out of the bullpen just because I think being as young as he still needs to build up that arm strength. He's not going to be able to go a lot of innings like a starter. If he is, he's going to be one of those like Brewer starters that we wind up seeing works 4 innings, maybe 5 if they have a good outing. If they pitch into the 6th, you think it's a godsend. I don't think they're going to do that just yet with him.
Oh, he did jump a few levels last year. Came all the way from A-ball to the major leagues, which is not a good sign. But he's getting some high praise from the press lately. ESPN.com predicted him to throw 180 strong innings for the Brewers this year, which would be outrageous. But I honestly don't see him making the rotation this year. We have a couple guys that we need to be in the rotation this year. They're going to give Hendrickson a shot. They're going to leave Santos in the rotation for no good reason. And Jorge De La Rosa, odds are, he's going to have his job to lose, I think, as the 5th starter. So I think we'll see Capian starting in the season in AAA. But with a guy like Capiano, where you never know if he'll stay healthy, Ben Sheets has been a workhorse the last couple of years, never know how well his arm's going to hang up. I think we might see the guy in major leagues by July.
Do you guys think Dan Kolb is going to do anything? What do you think he's going to be like the next year or two? I mean, I don't know. I doubt he'll retain All-Star status, but do you think he'll be? I just kind of think his arm is almost done, and I don't know. I just think it was a great deal for the Brewers. I just don't see Kolb doing that much anymore.
I saw him as a guy it's no longer a strikeout guy. He's not the closer type anymore where he's going to go out there and punch 3 guys out and get the save. And last year we made a big deal about how great of a thing it was that he was all of a sudden, just getting ground ball outs, the 10 pitch outs, getting close in the 9th inning. But really that's not what a closer is going to be doing. If you're putting the ball on the ground, you're not going to be closing leads. Sooner or later, things are going to be hitting the gaps. You're going to be, finding a tricky hop that's going to get a guy on base. That's not the type of guy that's going to be closing games consistently. I think for the Braves, that was a little bit of a mistake. I don't think Smoltz is going to be able to hold up in the rotation, but they were strapped financially. I'm not sure if they were able to sign another starter to be of that caliber. So I think they can hope to get 25 starts out of Smoltz this year. As far as Dan Kolb goes, I imagine he'll have a good year. He'll close a lot of games for the Braves. He'll still win a bunch. He'll still be in the 90s for wins. So I imagine he'll close 35, 40 games, but it won't be dominated by any means. There won't be an all-star season this year for Danny Kolb, as far as I'm concerned.
If he closes 35, 40 games, which he could certainly do, I just don't think he's going to be able to throw that kind of innings. I just don't think he can do it. I mean, what did he throw? I said he threw 55, 60 innings last year, and I think that was like his career high. I mean, he just doesn't throw a lot of innings. And they said, well, he's going to throw strikes for us now, and we're not going to have him gear back and throw the strikeout pitch. And that was supposed to save his arm, but he still only threw 55 innings. Now, part of that's because we lost somebody.
Yeah, to be fair to him, he didn't have many opportunities to throw many innings either. I mean, I think there was like a 2-week stretch where he didn't even pitch because there was just no reason to throw him in there.
He was always good for an inning. He was seldom good for 2. And I'm a big fan of the 2-inning closer.
Yeah, but it just doesn't happen anymore until the playoffs in the World Series. So.
Say 2-inning closers don't even get any love anymore since Mr. Suter can't even make the Hall of Fame. Just a little editorial on my behalf.
Next year he'll be in.
Next year. Bruce Sutter, they say the guy, he only had 5 or 6 good seasons, but the truth is that he was the closer for a bunch of dominating teams. And they've been, oh my God,
Jeez.
Craig is here.
Good Lord.
Whoa,
Oh, hey,
Craig,
Scott,
what's
I
going
need to borrow that microphone.
What's
It's about time to
you're,
get chipped
you're,
up.
abusing the use of it.
I
Why don't you go stand
didn't-
over there? Yeah, just put
I'm
your
sorry, I
apparatus
didn't
down.
mean to.
Come back when you can say something intelligent.
Yeah, just go
Yeah,
stand over
that's
there.
a
and
call
on it.
for.
Hit the road,
Yeah,
Jack.
deal with it. Move on.
Hey, leave that apple juice here, man. All right. Well, yeah, I'm sorry I'm a little late, guys, but I had some thoughts on this trade pulled off by I call it a heist by Doug Melvin, and I think some casual fans actually were probably a little bit upset with this because if you look at it, Danny Kolb was our closer last year, was probably one of our most valuable players, but he wore down in the second half, and not only that, but Melvin originally picked this guy up off the scrap heap. No other team wanted him, and
Bartell, over there.
yeah, go stand over there.
Face the wall.
Sorry about that, Craig.
We'll come
I had
back
to-
in a
had to
second.
regulate.
But, no one else wanted to give this guy a chance, and we gave him what we have most of, and that's playing time, and he basically made himself more valuable because of it. So in a classic buy low, sell high, dynamic, Melvin got rid of this guy after he was an all-star, and what we got from him is one of the best prospects in baseball and pitching prospects in Jose Capian. And I saw this guy pitch at the Futures game, on TV last year
incredible.
at Minute Maid Park in Houston, and he actually was the most impressive player on that Futures game
Easily
to
blew a
me.
couple
He
guys
actually
away.
struck out our top prospect,
Yeah, he did.
Prince Fielder, I think like on 3 pitches
Yeah, it
or
was
something like
nasty,
that, 3 or
so.
4 pitches. So I mean, he's got some heat. So I mean, it's one of those things that the Brewers are a rebuilding team. They're not ready yet. So I mean, in reality, this was a good move.
This guy's got stuff that's Ben Sheets quality. He's got the 98-mile-an-hour fastball, the curveball, developing a changeup.
Yeah,
steal.
I have heard some concerns whether or not he's going to be able to make it as a starter because they question his pitches beyond his 100-mile-an-hour fastball. I guess he's got a decent curveball, but his changeup needs a lot of work and he doesn't have much else in the arsenal. So a lot of experts think, hey, maybe this guy's more of a candidate to be a reliever, and he could fill that role, I assume. But I think the Brewer brass really.
I'd hate to pigeonhole him right away as a young guy like that. Just call him a closer.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think we should give him the opportunity to start and see how it goes. He did have a phenomenal year through. I think he went up 3 ladders of the minor leagues last
started
year,
in the A-ball and
and
then
actually
the majors.
made it up to the majors with the Braves. So I
He
don't know.
actually pitched impressive too.
When do you think we should start him, though?
I don't know. Well, it depends. I think he should compete for a roster spot along with everyone else on a starting rotation spot in the beginning of spring training. If he outpitched everyone else, I think they should give him a shot. But if he doesn't make the team out of spring training, send him to AAA to get in innings as a starter and call him up as soon as he starts to dominate, which I assume would be right away.
I would think so.
So we'll see. But on the other end, the Braves, I mean, this is a trade that would really help them too. I was surprised they were willing to give rid of this prospect of theirs, but I mean, it makes sense for them too because Smoltz, I disagree with you. I think Smoltz moving back to rotation, even though he's getting up there in age, I think he'll be able to handle the transition. He used to be a dominant starter.
I hope so.
He proved himself as one of the best relievers of almost all time. I think he came close to that record. So, I mean, you can't question the guy's ability. He's going to go back and I'm sure succeed in that spot. And I think Cole will do a pretty good job as their closer. I mean, he doesn't strike out a lot of guys, but he does get the job done. And I think that'll be fine for the Braves. So.
I see that the Braves, it's kind of a last-ditch effort almost on their part because they were kind of handcuffed. They lost Jarrett Wright. They lost Russ Ortiz. Both got signed obscene contracts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Vastly overpaid. They needed a starter. They knew Capian wouldn't be ready this year to come in and help them. They thought they have one last shot here. Because I'm not sure Chipper Jones is wearing down a little bit. Their rotation's kind of starting to look a little bit sparse. They still have Paul Bird. Paul Bird's even up there in age, mid-30s.
Mike Hampton.
Yeah.
Mike Hampton, you never know what you'll get out of him. I think they're trying to get one last-ditch effort, trying to put Smoltz in there.
Yeah, but they did sign Hudson, so they'll be all right.
Oh, Hudson's
They're going to be fine.
Hudson, don't get me wrong, is amazing, but him at the front of the rotation, followed by who's the number 2 starter at this point? Smoltz?
Smoltz,
Probably
Hampton.
Smoltz.
Smoltz, Hampton?
Or Hampton, you know.
Yeah,
It's better than the
It's
Brewers.
not what they used to be, but yeah,
no,
it is
it's
better
not what
than
they
the
used
Brewers.
to be.
What do you guys think about, and I think this has a lot to do with Capio and not let's get off topic, but what do you guys think about Ben Hendrickson? I mean, I still have confidence in him. I mean, I don't think he's done, and I think if he evolves and Campion evolves, and if we can hang on to Ben Sheets, which I'm worried about, man, that's a great
I think
1,
that'll
2,
be our
3.
number one priority is this hang on to Ben Sheets. I think there's teams call about him all the time, I hear, and there's no way we're trading him. So that means we're definitely going to sign him. If we didn't think we'd sign him, we'd listen to those trade offers, and we're not even listening. So I think Sheets is definitely staying, as long as he stays healthy, of course, which is going to be a concern with his back, but hopefully he can, weather through it. I do like Hendrickson. I mean, he actually started the AAA All-Star game for the International League last year. And, I mean, when he came out to the majors, he just wasn't cutting it. But, it's all about seasoning and experience. So I think eventually he's not going to be a superstar by any means, I don't think. But he's got one of the best curveballs in the minors. And his fastball is not that – that's the problem. He doesn't have enough movement on his fastball. It's basically like players' eyes light up when they see the fastball coming. So he's got to work on some other pitches and maybe do something with that fastball to –
We've got a segment coming up. So this will be your cliffhanger for my Ben Hendrickson rant. So you can look forward to that one.
So why don't we take a break now, and we'll see if we can
bring
go find
Scott
where
back, I
Scott
guess.
went and talk about the next great trade Melvin made in the offseason right when we come back. So we'll take a break.
Yo, you never met a like me.
Welcome back to the Brew Crew Review. We can welcome Scott back. He had an urgent call from his boyfriend. He had to go.
Hey, that's uncalled for. I kind of feel like Wes Obermueller. I mean,
Just getting used and abused,
Yeah,
thrown
I got-
around.
In and out.
At least
I
we
got
talked
shelved, then I got pulled, then I'm back. Who knows
to you.
where I'll be in
we
5
kinda,
minutes.
We kind of need you. We're short on roster spots.
Switch hitter.
All right, we're back to talk about what I would say the biggest deal of the offseason would be easily the acquisition of Carlos Lee. We did trade fan favorite Scott Posednik, as well as who I thought would be our closer at the time, Mr. Vizcaino. So aside from having an extreme lack of gold on our roster now, what are we missing in this trade, Jed?
Well, I thought it was a great trade. I mean, Pasenik, I mean, people say he's a fan favorite. I think that's only
He's
with
still a
like the
bum.
14-year-old girls and the people that redeem those yellow Amico cards. But Pasenik, I think people that really understood baseball understood that Pasenik. Granted, he stole all those bases, but man, his on-base percentage was hideous for a leadoff hitter. And his fielding, I thought, was awful. And to get Carlos Lee, the great thing about him is just to have a right-handed power hitter to protect Jenkins and Overbay. It was just a formula that happened every time. 7th, 8th, 9th inning. Best lefty reliever would come in and shut down Jenkins or Overbay. Now we got Lee in the middle. I think it's a great thing. And Lee is underrated defensive player. He only had one error
a very
last
good
year.
arm.
Or did he have no errors? He only had 0 or 1
I
error.
think it was one.
Yeah,
But
so
he still has a good arm, great fielder. He's quick.
and I'm excited about it. And I'm excited that the Brewers were willing to spend money too
Oh, yeah.
to do something like that because they did have a decent contract with Pasednik, but to take on Lee's contract, I thought that was a good move by the Brewers. I'm pretty excited about it.
And the great thing is, we just made a deal for a guy who's actually just came in to be our best player on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, he's easily better than Jenkins. Overbay's overrated. Carlos Lee's a legitimate 300 style hitter. He won't hit 50 homers, he won't hit 40, but he'll hit 30 easily with 100 RBIs.
Consistent.
He'll steal 20 bases.
And I don't think he strikes out either. I don't think
doesn't.
he's ever struck out more than 100 times. I
His-
wish I had the stats, but I don't think he strikes out more than 100
93 was
times.
his high in 2000. Since then,
amazing.
it's been going down every year,
Playing in a hitter's park like Miller Park, I think he's going to go to town.
especially when he's going to be facing a bunch of lefties, like you said, Chad. I don't know. I thought this was a great deal. But aside from being a great deal for us, getting a hitter like that, do you think we lose something with Vizcaino?
Yeah, I was a little shocked that they got rid of Vizcaino after getting rid of Cole because that leaves a big hole, obviously, in the closer position. I thought Vizcaino, man, he would give up some home runs at some bad times, but he was pretty decent. But now it's like we have almost no one at the closer, but I guess you have to give something to get something. So I'm still overall happy with it. I mean, like you said, the closer position, as far as the Brewers go, because they don't have a Rivera, they don't have, one of the best closers in baseball, you can almost plug kind of anyone in there. So I still think it was a good deal. I mean, you have to give something to get something. Overall, I think it was a fantastic trade for the Brewers.
Well, Scott, what always comes to my mind is we just traded for another left fielder. Which one do you think should move to right? Jenkins has the arm to be a right fielder, but do you want to really move one of the best left fielders in baseball?
It doesn't
Carlos
matter.
Lee?
That's fine with me.
That's all right.
Well, you may as well move him to
Back
right
to the
field.
corner.
I mean, it's not like if you put him in left field, it's not like he's gonna get a Gold Glove for being in left field as being the best left fielder. That's not how it works. The top 3 outfielders get it. It doesn't matter what position you play. He's not going to get a Gold Glove in left. He's not going to get it in right.
Jenkins definitely has to play right field, though. I mean, don't you think he has by far the better arm?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's a no-brainer.
But that comes with one thing. You talked about the arms. Who are you playing center field now? Last year we had an absolute liability in center field with Scott Pasednik. I think we all got bored of watching guys tagging up from second on fly balls to center field, take third on them.
You know why a lot of people, though, really thought that Pacenik was a good defender? Because who did he replace? The only one who was, like, way, way worse than him.
Let's not talk about Alex Sanchez. We
No.
already banned that conversation on this.
Holy cow.
Program.
Detroit's already trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, Alan Trammell. But what about Krenzel? I mean, why not throw him in there? I mean, he's made some spectacular defensive plays. He's young. It's time to give these guys a chance and see what he can do.
From the other stand, I guess at this point, I guess Brady Clark is the plan in center
Yeah.
field, unless we can find somebody else that's going to be cheap. But pretty much all the cheap alternatives are gone. I mean, Kenny Lofton's not in the market anymore. Basically, if you're going to get somebody who's going to be playing center field, he's going to be either a complete underachiever or a complete loser.
Ricky
Brady
Anderson.
Clark. Ricky. I would love to bring Ricky here.
I think we got to bring Ricky in,
If y'all know
too.
how much I love Ricky, just for bobblehead,
Oh.
that would be amazing.
Legitimate leadoff hitter.
But I guess that brings up a good point, too. Without Scott Pasednik, who's leading off this year, Scott?
Do you think Ricky still has the range to play center?
No, he can't play center field. He'd have to play left field. He's got no. But I mean, he had decent numbers at Newark last year. I actually looked it up on the internet.
Yeah,
It
he
wasn't
batted
that
like
bad.
360 for most of last year.
He'd be a great number 4, number 5. But I don't think Ricky wants to sit on the bench
No.
either. So is
Ricky-
Canseco available?
I think he might be doing time at this
He
point.
might. I don't know if he can play with an ankle bracelet.
I think he might actually be working as a janitor at Balco
He's actually
somewhere.
writing a book about how bad his first book was.
Oh,
That never came out yet.
that's pretty cold.
Well, it's in the works.
But more importantly, Scott, who's leading off this year? Who is it?
It's going to be Brady Clark's job to lose.
Brady Clark's job to lose.
His on-base percentage was good last year, but it wasn't in a leadoff spot. So
You heard it here, folks. It's going to be a long year for the Milwaukee Brewers if that's true.
it's his job to lose.
But Chad, it sounds like you think Craig Krenzel should get the job.
Yeah, I think he should at least get a shot. Well, whatever happens in spring training, but I'd like to see Krenzel get a shot at it. But Brady Clark, has made some great defensive plays also. I don't know. I mean, whatever. Maybe they're both the same, but I think Krenzel has a little more upside.
I don't think it's going to come down to who's better defensively. I think it's going to come down to who can get on base and bat leadoff. And I don't know if Brady Clark can do it. I don't think Krenzel can do it yet. I think he might be able to a year or two down the road, but right now he just hasn't seen enough major league hitting or pitching.
But Krenzel, what is he going to be doing AAA the entire year? He's going to sit there and play, just dog it the whole year, probably tear it up. He's at that point in his career where he should be starting to rip AAA pitching apart. And he can make the plays defensively. The guy's a pretty good offensive player. He's got some speed, got some pop. I know people still call him the young Steve Finley, which, take it or leave it, whatever you want to do. But I was the leading advocate last year, getting half-off tickets when Brady Clark was starting. I despise the guy. I hope to God we give the young guy a chance at it, just so it just adds some excitement to the game.
Sure. And I don't know, maybe Damian Miller can lead off. Who knows?
Damian Miller is one story we'll have to speak of. We'll speak of that in a little bit because that's something I've got a couple of.
Do you honestly think, though, that Krenzel's ready to face major league pitching and bat leadoff and get on consistently?
Regardless if he's ready or not, is he going to do any better hitting off guys the caliber of like Dave Burba style in AAA? I mean, he's not going to improve if you don't give him a chance at better pitching. I think we saw, a perfect example, a guy who tears apart AAA is Ben Hendrickson. The guy's ripping apart pitchers, 2.2 ERA, goes to major leagues and has no idea what to do. Can't get guys out. Krenzel can rip guys that are, throwing 86-mile-an-hour fastballs down the middle with no movement. But what do you do when you throw a guy in there 2 years down the road and he still has never seen a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, never seen a curveball that can break, never seen a changeup, never seen a changeup? I mean, this is something that he's got to do sooner or later, and this year's not going to be a year we're going to win this championship.
No?
No, sorry, Chad, it's not going to happen.
And this is why everybody usually in September they say, who are these guys? What are they doing here? Well, that's why they're here. That's why Krenzel was up last year. He was supposed to see some major league pitching, and he did, and it's a good thing he did.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, in the most part, fans are starting to understand what the plan is, though. I think people are starting to get excited. I mean, we had 2 million people last year at Miller Park, and I just think that people are starting to see the development, and once like Fielder and Weeks comes in, if Cappian can do something, I think Milwaukee really does crave for a winning baseball team, and they proved that last year when the Brewers would. I kind of consider it the most disappointing season ever because they really had me going at All-Star break. I think they were a half a game out of the wild card. But once fans saw that, they just came out in record numbers. Not even just the Cub games, but other games too. And I think the fans are starting to see, the intelligent fans, the smart fans, the majority of the fans are starting to see what the Brewers are doing. I think it's exciting. I like to see everything happen. And let the kids take their lumps a year or two. But I think in 3 years, and you got to figure the Cardinals are going to be older. They'll be losing people. I think the Cubs are going to be older, losing people. I mean, look what the Cubs have Todd Hollandsworth in left field starting already. So they're already slumping a little bit, and their pitchers have arm problems already. So I think the Brewers take your lumps now. I think in 3 years, the table might be set for a pretty good run there.
The only downside I see is this year actually could be a very big down year for the Central.
Yeah.
I see the Cubs getting much worse. They lost Clement, a replacement in the rotation with Glendon Rush. Sammy Sosa's not going to be on the roster. They're going to be eating that salary regardless of where he's playing next year, but he will not be a Chicago Cub. The Cardinals, they did gain Mark Mulder, which is just not even fair. But they did lose Edgar Renteria, which is a pretty big loss.
Huge.
And plus, you never know where Woody Williams is going to be, if he's going to be back or if he's not going to be back. Their rotation's in shambles at this point. They don't know who's going to be where. And then also you have the Astros, Carlos Beltran. Who knows what's going to happen with him at this point? I don't think that they're going to be too excited about the idea of paying the guy $17 million a year to play.
I don't think
I heard the word Mark Mulder. I figured that was a call to bullpen. Sorry, Scott.
Craig has a giant man crush on Mark Mulder.
Again?
If you can give me some more apple juice, Scott, I'd appreciate it right now.
Uh-oh, Craig's excited. Mark Mulder's in the National League. Time to bat 400.
I've actually had quite a bit of apple juice today. You can never really get enough.
No.
If you can refill my apple juice, Scott, I'd appreciate that too. Hold on one second.
Good segment there, Scott.
Yeah, see you later.
Just go stand right over there, please.
Can I have a bobblehead?
I think
have
Williams
this
on the
set,
phone
Nick.
for you.
There
He
you
said he
go.
wants to come home
Take
early.
good care of him. That way.
Get that apple juice filled up. Will give you a good tip. Stay away from sailors.
Take care, guys.
All right. Be back for the next. We'll get a little. Anyway, yeah. I'll make some comments about all this stuff. Basically, I agree with you. The NL Central, first of all, might be a little bit weaker because I think the Cubs, they get worse. The Astros, just by losing Clemens, if he doesn't return, will be one thing. And
They say
there's
that without Beltran,
possibility.
he might not come back.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
Drew
really?
Beltran.
They said if
Okay,
Beltran
well-
comes back, he'll come
Well,
back
if
without
Beltran
him.
and Clemens come back, then we're in trouble.
It's good. Nice.
But with that being said, like the Reds, well, they didn't make any improvements.
They did
believe me.
sign Paul Wilson to a lucrative deal.
Like I said, they didn't make any
Congratulations.
improvements. They signed Eric Milton, who's vastly overrated. So, and like Joe Randa, a Milwaukee native and what have you, but
260 guy with
that's the
12
problem.
homers is a pretty good team.
He is a friend of Walter, too, by the way.
Oh.
Joe Randa.
Okay, I won't badmouth them, but I mean, I guess it's not. We'd probably take him as our third baseman as it stands, possibly. Well, maybe not. Over,
Well, I
over
don't know
Russ.
about that.
But the Cardinals, on the other hand, I mean, they were in the World Series last year. It kind of didn't seem that way. It didn't seem like they showed up, but they did make the World Series last year, and they pretty much have the returning core of Pujols, Roland, and Edmonds and Walker, right? Larry
Yeah.
Walker.
Larry Walker's back.
And I mean, that's with losing Edgar Renteria. So,
But
I
no
think
Matheny. I think the Matheny loss
Matheny
is
loss
going
could
to
be
be really
huge. He
big.
controlled that staff. He was a Gold Glove fielder.
yeah, those catchers are always underrated, and that's why we'll talk about that later. But I think Damian Miller will be an added addition to the Brewers just for handling the pitching staff
For
and
the
bringing
small
them
cost of $8.75 million.
over 3 years.
No, I don't think it's a bit. I didn't mind the
I think it's
Who's
a
35?
little bit above average, but come on, he's Wisconsin native. But no, obviously the addition. I don't know what Billy Beane was thinking when he traded Mark Mulder to the Cardinals. I mean, now he's in our division. I mean, this game over. I mean,
Wild
man.
card.
But anyway,
CGSO
yeah.
is bringing my ears.
So now we have Pryor, Mulder, Oswald, all pitchers in our division, and Eric Milton, I guess. Oh boy, we're in trouble. But anyway, the Brewers, we still have sheets and all that stuff. Getting back to, I haven't commented on that trade though. The trade that Melvin made, and this is like one of the first times I can remember in a while, and I think it surprised fans a little bit, that the Brewers made a trade where they actually took on salary rather than giving it away.
exciting.
So I think that did fire fans up, even though I think like the casual fan again might be a little bit like, Pasednik, we love that guy, and he's gone now. But in reality, he was not a good leadoff hitter. He stole 70 bases somehow
With a
last year
313
without
on-base
ever being
percentage.
on
Imagine
base.
if he could get on.
He would have had over 100 steals.
Yeah.
But even with all those steals, we scored very few runs, so he wasn't working as our leadoff hitter. So, and he was absolutely horrific defensively in center field. He could not.
It is hard to play a ball off the bat worse than Scott Pasednik did.
Yeah. So we won't miss that, even if. So getting back to do we
We
give?
will miss Lisa Durgan, though, in section
Yeah.
17.
Jeez, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that is going to be
Sorry, Nick.
tough.
That's horrible.
Maybe we might still have a photo or two of her here up on screen though, just for memories.
I would hope so.
When the pimp's in the crib, ma, drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. When the pigs try to get at you, park it like it's hot. Park it like it's hot. Park it like it's hot. And if a get an attitude, pop it like it's hot. Pop it like it's hot. Pop it like it's hot. I got the rollie on my arm and I'm pouring Sean down and I roll the best cause I got it going on.
But Dave Krenzel, okay, getting to that, do we give him the shot in center field right from day one? I don't know if he's necessarily ready, but do you give it to Brady Clark, who I think was one of the top 10 leaders in on-base percentage in the NL? I'm serious.
I know
The
he
second
was.
half last
He had
year.
360. He had 364.
So
on base
some people
last
think
year.
that he's earned.
It's a big hit at Walker's Point, too.
Really? Well, some people think he's earned that right to maybe start off the year, and I think this is what'll probably happen unless Krenzel just outplays him in spring training. We'll let him start off the year at center field and have Krenzel maybe get a little bit more at AAA, and then as soon as the Brewers are out of contention, probably by like May 1st, we'll go ahead and bring up Krenzel and let him in for the year. And I'm hoping that's not
Listen
true.
to this pessimist. Bartell, get back here.
I'm hoping that's
He's
not
out.
true. I'm
Waiter.
hoping that's not true. But no, get back to the Carlos Lee. Now I will have to say I think he's a player we needed. We needed a power hitter.
Oh.
Our offense just stunk last year, so he'll be great as a cleanup hitter.
And he'll lead the team in hitting as well.
And I think he'll make Jenkins better. But with that being said, I really don't think he's someone we can get overly excited about because I don't think he has superstar potential. I think right now he's at his peak. This is what he's going to. The best he'll ever hit is 300. And with 35 home runs and maybe 120 RBI, so you can't complain with that. But I think, but yeah, you're blocking camera 2 there, Scott. And yeah, go stand over there.
Bartell over there. But what do you have to think though, Craig?
What did you find
Is let's face the facts.
We're in
This
West
year,
Dallas.
Carlos Lee could very well lead the team in every offensive category.
Easily.
He could lead the team in hitting, home runs, RBIs, stolen bases.
What I like
Thanks,
about
Doug.
Still on base is no.
what I like about
he
Carlos
hasn't-
Lee though is that I think he's a protect Overbay a lot, and I don't think we can expect Overbay to
Overbay can't do
repeat
it on
what
his
he
own.
did last year, unless he has someone like a Carlos Lee.
I think
or
in the next
Jenkins. So I think that's what's
episode,
exciting about
we'll
it.
talk about what we think the projected lineup is going to be. I actually think it'd be wiser to have Overbay behind Carlos Lee and have Jenkins in front because I think Jenkins
needs some
needs
more
the protection
fastballs.
more, as we saw last year. He needs the protection more. So that'll be something obviously we'll have to discuss. But with that being said, the two players we lost, I will not miss. Vizcaino, he was great that one season where we should trade him at his peak value and we would have gotten something better for him maybe. But the last 2 years he's kind of questionable. So he's not someone I trust anymore, even with the closer role. He was a decent setup man, but I don't trust him that much anymore. So he's no loss to me. And Pasednik, either he's replaceable with Krenzel. So we basically picked up Carlos Lee, even though taking out a little bit of salary and not much more. So
No.
I think it was a great trade by Melvin, and it'll be proven throughout the season. So
But Pasednik's better half looks a lot better than Brady Clark's better half, depending on your preferences.
I'm not a
You're
big
probably
fan of
right.
beards.
you're probably right. With that being said, let's move on. We'll get Scott
Greg, that
back
was
in here, and
insightful. Thank you
we'll
very much.
move on to the next segment.
We'll take a
We'll talk
little break.
about the third Melvin trade of the offseason when we come back. So
The third and
stay
best Melvin
tuned.
trade. Here you go.
You never met a like me.
And welcome back. We're back with the Brew Crew Review. Got Scott and Chad back ready to roll about this third trade for Mr. Doug Melvin this year. My personal favorite trade, actually. This is the trade of trading Keith Ginter to the Oakland Athletics for Justin Lear and Nelson Cruz. I know a lot of people don't know much about Nelson Cruz, and Justin Lear is kind of a new guy on the block, but I don't know, what do you guys think of this one?
Well, I think obviously Ginter was expendable, and we needed
say
bullpen
the
help.
least.
Yeah, and we needed bullpen help, so I think it was a good trade. I think all three trades are good, not to be like a homer or shill for the team. I would rank this trade the most toss-up, either or. I think Ginter was expendable. I don't know much about the other two guys. I guess time will tell. But I think it was a good trade. Obviously, we had a void in the bullpen all of a sudden, so it was something we had to do. And Ginter was expendable, so I think it was a fine trade. I'm excited about it, but I don't think it's the best out of three. But time will tell.
What'd you, Scott?
Ginter, I know that he was a decent hitter at times, but I also know that with 2 strikes on him, you could throw anything breaking to him, and he'd already be walking to the dugout by the time the ball crossed the plate.
Bill Hall?
Yeah, that too. They're almost identical. I don't know why I guess there was more of an interest of Ginter as opposed to Hall or Helms because I know they're all kind of comparable in that respect.
I don't know. When I see a guy like Keith Ginter, I see a guy. The true test of a player is what he can do in crunch time. When the pitcher's bearing down, you need to get to 1 out. You need the hitter that can go up there and get a hit. Keith Ginter was never going to be this hitter. He did put up good numbers last 2 years actually, but how many of those home runs were hit in the 7th inning of blowout games or games that were already out of hand? And he would hit that exclamation point home run, but he's not hitting anything. He's the least clutch hitter we had. Like you said, with 2 strikes, the guy was going down regardless.
And you know what? His first year, he was such a good 2-strike hitter. I just don't know what happened after that. It seemed like he bulked up, and that was good, and I thought he was really starting to come around power-wise, and he just couldn't get it done. I don't know. I mean, maybe he has a lot of promise yet. We'll see.
And he's a guy who's going to be a utility guy for us. He's going to get a chance to play in Oakland. Because they're still not sure about what they're going to do with their second base spot. We've got the young kid there that I think should play a lot more, but they're not sure about him at this point. They need somebody who can spot in at third base when Chavez, who seems to be injury prone at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, when he showed his flash in the outfield last year, apparently still think he can do that. But I think that the 2 guys we got actually are going to be really underrated. What Doug Melvin's done is he's gotten us some arms in the bullpen. If we do put Cappy on there, got a guy who throws about 100. Lear can put it up at 97, 98 miles an hour. And this guy, Nelson Cruz, we got, let's not forget, this guy's a top 10 prospect in the Oakland system. This guy's a guy they talk, if you listen to the scouting report of the guy, he sounds like a young Jose Guillen, the way they talked about him before. The 5-tool prospect, an absolute rocket arm. And what we were missing in our AAA system, or AA, they say he'll start at Huntsville, so at AA, we don't have a corner outfield guy that's going to be starting like that. This guy's a guy with extreme potential, 5-tool prospect, huge arm. Then all of a sudden we have a corner outfield prospect, so we're not going to be putting a guy like Corey Hart in left field, or thinking about putting Brad Nelson out in right or something like that. This is a legitimate outfield prospect that we picked up. For a guy who we picked up as a throw-in in the Mark Loretta deal,
Yeah.
it's just, I mean, it's a
That is
joke
true.
the way we got him. It's just another instance of Doug Melvin taking a guy off the trash heap again, a B-level prospect. He played 2 years, put up good stats in not exactly crunch situations. And also we dealt him off for 2 guys that are going to really help our ball club either this year or the next year. Lear's the guy that we're going to look at pitching in the 8th inning in most games. He could be our top setup guy, regardless if we make the major league team this year. Nelson Cruz, a guy that we can have a couple years down the road. I think this is an amazing trade. I think this is the best one that we made this offseason.
Maybe it is. You're starting to sell me on this one pretty good.
We gave up the least and we got so much talent back. It was ridiculous.
You do know, though, obviously, Ginter has a huge upside if he can turn it around. I mean, there's no question of that. I mean, he could hit with 2 strikes. I don't know what happened.
He could somehow learn how to change up or a curveball instead of being a straight
It was
fastball
just-
hitter.
And you know what was coming with 2 strikes. Everyone knew it. Everyone in the stadium knew it. And he knew it, and it didn't matter.
See, that's the thing. Any idiot off the street can hit a fastball. That's the thing that they can do.
Bill.
But a true test of a hitter is a guy who can take a curveball the opposite way or still hit a changeup or a curveball for power. This is something Keith Ginter had never shown he could do. Keith Ginter, I mean, he was very versatile, but you have to face the facts. We have Junior Spivey coming back. We've got a couple other guys who can play second base. Bill Hall's got to play somewhere. He's the same hit or miss type guy, but he's a little bit younger, always been a little bit better prospect.
And a
little
lot
bit
better in the
fielder.
clutch, too.
A lot better in the clutch.
Many clutch hits.
He had that big clutch hit against the Reds
The
last
Reds.
year. That was probably the high point of the season for us.
Yep.
Back to back.
Keith Ginter never showed that he could do that. The suicide squeeze was a little bit less of a talent play. But Keith Ginter never proved that. We got a guy who's going to be a potential closer candidate. I think him and Adams could actually fight it out for the closer job. Then a guy a couple years down the road could turn into a pretty good right fielder, at least a 4th outfielder, if not a starter. I don't know. I think that Doug Melvin absolutely just took Billy Beane out behind the woodshed, which is impossible to do. That guy doesn't seem to make mistakes. So it makes you kind of wonder exactly what we got just because Billy Beane was so willing to give him up. But I think that we have to give Doug Melvin the benefit of the doubt at this point, just from what he's done the last couple of years.
Can't wait to read his book
Oh my God! And on that note,
He's coming out with a book?
someday.
Oh, I hope.
We talked about losing Keith Ginter, a guy who's pretty versatile. He filled a lot of spots in our roster. So we have a couple iffy situations in our roster right now. What do you think is going to go out the third base spot, Scott?
You know what? Because you brought it up earlier, I got to throw it out there. Does Corey Hart have any shot of,
At playing this year?
yeah,
No.
any shot at all
No.
of playing at third?
No.
I have his CD.
He plays
He wears his sunglasses at
Sunglasses
night.
at Night is a great song, but unfortunately,
Corey Hart is not going to be playing this year at third base. I think we still have Wes Helms that's going to be locked up. And, of course, we did sign a certain Russ Branyan to a 1-year, $800,000
Your cheeks
deal.
are getting flushed.
yeah,
Brian.
you're blushing.
I miss him already, I have to admit. I don't want to talk about Russ yet. Just let's hear your thoughts,
You're
Chad.
shaking a little bit.
I
No, I think Brandon's the way to go. I said in Brew Review, everyone can watch our videotapes at home and rewind them. But I thought it was a great idea. I mean, it's just one of those guys you pick up, and it's like there's so much upside to him, and he brings the power too. What do you think Brandon will bat? Like 6th in the lineup, possibly?
think he's a perfect 6-hitter.
Oh, I think he'd be a great 6-hitter too. I mean, he's a hit or miss guy. Either he hits it big or strikes out. But sometimes a strikeout's not the worst thing in the world, especially if you're batting number 6. So I think Brandon would be a
like to see
great
him better
player.
at number 7. I think Junior Spivey should be batting in the 6th hole, personally.
Yeah.
I think we need a right-handed bat behind. Like we said, we need a right-handed bat to protect Jenkins. Overbeck could use the help too.
Who's
gonna
gonna
bat
be number
2?
two?
though?
Yeah.
I think that's where
Number
Spivey
2 is going to be
would
the
come in.
second base spot. Whoever's going to be starting there.
Maybe
Maybe
Spidey.
number 8.
Spivey could be second base, but
I think Spivey would be good number 2.
I don't know. I don't like Spivey in the 2 hole. So I think he's got some pop. His on base position is all right, but not great. His contact is all right, not great. I think that we have to look for another guy that can step into that role. Possibly whoever's playing shortstop, J.J. Hardy, a Bill Hall type, even at number 2 hole. Just a guy who's got some speed that can get on base and move around.
I do think Brandon's underrated on defense too. I think
Compared to what we had with Wes Helms,
Oh,
it's hard to be worse. But Russ Branyan did make some pretty big plays, made a few diving stops, a few leaping catches. I guess that 6'4" ultra muscular frame helped him out in that one. But I think that at the 7 hole he'd be perfect. The guy who strikes out, he strikes out. But he's going to add a couple free runs there here and there where he hits a solo shot. Or if he can get a couple guys on base, the guy can be dangerous, catching a 3-run homer. I mean, he's going to strike out. The guy could strike out 200 times. That record is in serious danger if he plays 130 games. But I think he'll be fun to watch on top of it. I mean, the guy could hit 35, 40 home runs and still have an OPS of less than 700, which is pretty outrageous.
yeah.
But I think that's something that could happen. I think he'd be the kind of guy that we get behind a little bit. You saw fans start to come around to Russ towards the end of the year.
At least one of them.
At least one of them. But he did have the longest line at Autograph Friday, which I'm just going to keep reminding people.
That's because he kept on going back in the line and back into the line.
I had a lot of stuff I needed signed. But I think he's a guy. We always kind of have that cheering session, like the Matt Steris type deal. Jeremy Burnett's with the guys putting everything in every swing. People love watching, like the big softball player.
Milwaukee kind of
That's
guy.
the Milwaukee kind of guy. I think he's the exact type that could fit in here.
Like Gary Brown, 40 years younger.
Exactly. I think we showed that too when we gave him an $800,000 contract, where one other team was actually going to sign him higher than a minor league deal. I think we rewarded him for a little bit what he showed last year. The guy had more extra base hits in a quarter of a season than Wes Helms did the whole year. But what do you think about Wes Helms? Should this guy be getting a shot here? We should be playing Bill Hall at third base in those spots. That's a tough lefty. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I think I'd rather see Bill Hall just play anywhere than Wes Helms. I think it's over. Like I said, the man can't even walk without falling down and hurting himself. He can't field the ground ball. I mean, I don't know. I just think Wes Helms is pretty much. I've given up on him.
From what I hear, I guess they're going to try to get him 300 at bats, backing up Overbay, playing third against tough. Actually, they said they're going to play him against righties because Brandon hits lefties better than he does, which makes no sense. But
You know what, though? That's something that I guess I probably should have brought up about Carlos Lee. He does the same thing.
He does hit. It makes no sense.
You're going to bring in like a lefty to face Branyan, to face Jenkins, to face Overbay, and Carlos Lee.
He doesn't have lefties either.
No.
Well, that's the one good thing about Brady Clark. He can go both ways.
Exactly. I mean, it's perfect.
And you
Fill
know
the
what?
holes.
Because of the
What? Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I don't know. I just think that Branyan's pretty exciting at the number 7 spot, and I don't know. I
Exactly.
still think Spivey should bat second though, and
Damian Miller, I think that guy could bat 6 this year. The guy's
possibly.
But the thing with Damian Miller, though, he's a 35-year-old guy who just gave a 3-year contract, who just had his career year where his career high in RBIs was 58 RBIs. And this guy's getting $3 million a year.
One thing I'd like to bring up is, what do you guys think about the prospect of re-signing Sheets? I just think that when a new owner comes in, I think that'd be the first thing he'd want to do, and it kind of scares me that it hasn't been done yet. And like I saw the Sunday night interview with Mike Goucher, and Doug Melvin was pretty iffy about Ben Sheets. I'm just nervous because I think a guy like Ben Sheets, if he was pitching for anyone in the National League besides the Brewers, Arizona, or Pittsburgh, he probably would have been Cy Young this year.
Exactly. And what you have to be scared about, too, especially this year. Hopefully next year maybe there's a surplus of pitchers that go on the market the next couple of years following. But this year you look at a guy like Derek Lowe who's commanding a 4-year, $48 million deal, which for the Brewers, you can give that to Ben Sheets would be obscene.
Yep.
Just what a big hunk of that salary cap that would take up. And then all of a sudden Derek Lowe's going to get it, the guy with one great season,
One great game.
shoddy season,
Yeah.
and a great game last year.
Yep.
Guy's the old closer, can't... Hold on. I got a little bug on my ear that says Kreggers wants to come here and say something.
Oh,
Bartel,
geez.
you're out.
You
Scott,
gotta make a call to the bullpen, man.
you got the ready coming.
we have no idea who could be replaced here. There's a 1 in 3 shot son of.
Apple juice
yeah,
run.
I mean,
Apple juice run.
Well, I'd like to say I didn't know this was coming.
You're pretty expendable.
It's good seeing you.
You're like the Matt Erickson of this team.
He'll be back. One more segment, Scott. Get geared up for that.
You've been great so far.
Good job,
Scott.
good job.
Congratulations.
Let it go.
All
Tried
right.
your best, but wasn't good enough.
Yeah,
All right.
sorry.
So where are we here? Oh, we're talking about Melvin. You were saying Melvin's best trade of the year, and he took Billy Bean back out behind the woodshed. A couple of teams are doing that this year, it seems. I don't know what's going on in Oakland, but they're paring down their talent and restocking their minors, I guess, this year for more rebuilding or something.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate for them. But that trade, I did like it, but I think the other 2 trades are actually better. Mostly because I think this is a trade that will help Oakland. I don't think Bean got fleeced on this one. I think that Ginter's going to win their starting second base job over Mark Ellis, who was injured all of last year. And I think Ginter's going to be good for that team. And they're still going to have a pretty good offense. So, I mean, I think he's going to contribute. And in true Brewer fashion, he's going to be one of those guys who, once he leaves the Brewers, a la Mark Loretta and a whole list of guys who, as soon as they leave, as soon as they leave, they basically become stud players, and I think that's what's going to happen with Ginter. With that being said, I think that we did get a good return for them. I think Justin Lear will be a good setup man. I don't think he'll be our closer. I think that will probably go to Mike Adams with Lear setting up. So I think that'll work, especially with the amount of games the Brewers are going to win. And Nelson Cruz, I do really like him. He was a key to the deal for me, but I don't think he has quite as high of a ceiling as you think. That's at least my opinion. I don't think he'll be quite as good as Jose Guillen, even though that's not that great.
No.
But I mean, I think
I'd love to have Jose Guillen.
I think he was like their 10th best prospect, the A's. So it's better than Ginter. Like basically, in my opinion, we gave Ginter the opportunity, and he kind of dropped the ball. I was excited that he was going to get that bats last year, and he didn't do what I thought he could with them. So he'll get those at bats probably with Oakland, and he'll probably excel finally. But we gave him his chance. He dropped the ball, so we move on. And I think that's what a good GM does. And I think that's what Melvin's done this offseason.
I think it's another feather in Melvin's cap, though, to pick up a guy like Russell Branyan. So now he has Branyan, who no one else was willing to take, and now Ginter's expendable because of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for Branyan, we probably still have to keep Ginter. And I think that's just another great move by Melvin. He's just making things happen different ways and moving things and making things happen.
And it shows like he's being a thrifty GM, and that's what he has to be on a small market team. So he's kind of sifting through for these little gold nuggets once they have any value, he gets rid of them, and or if he finds a gold nugget that'll take someone's position and at a cheaper rate or whatever, he'll get rid of the other guy who's got value, and then eventually things should come together once the prospects and stuff come up and everything pans out. Then maybe we'll be able to open up the checkbook a little bit more with a new ownership and stuff like that, and then finally be able to be contenders within a few years. So that's exciting. But I think, again, this will be a major rebuilding year still for the Brewers. It's just another step. But I think the pieces, are starting to come together. Hopefully,
the pieces are coming together, and the fans have proven they will come out if we have a winner. So, I mean, if we can get these young guys to come out and get the fans excited, they can get 2.5 million people easily. And I think the checkbook, like you said, will open up, and we can secure. I'm excited about the
future
direction it's heading.
As it shows, this Doug Melvin Love Fest is almost done. So let's take another quick break before we have our last segment today.
All right.
And we'll check out.
Yo, you never met it like me.
All right, we're back with the last segment here of the Brew Crew Review. We brought Scott back for one last shot. I know what you're saying. Darryl Strawberry didn't get this many chances, but we're bringing him back one more time.
Steve Howe did, though.
We thought, he doesn't know anything about Brewers baseball. We'll give him a chance in Major League Baseball.
I have a lot of confidence, though, and a lot of heart.
That doesn't make
That's
you
right.
good, though.
Your mom says you're very cute, too. But more importantly, Scott.
I should say hi to my mom, and I'm sorry.
Scott, a lot of things have gone on. Winter signings. What team do you think made the biggest strides this season in the offseason? Free agency.
Biggest strides.
Biggest strides. Biggest winner, biggest loser. Who do you got, Scott?
I want to start with biggest loser.
Go right ahead.
It's really easy.
Who's that?
If you had to pick, if you just didn't know anything about baseball and you had to pick who the biggest loser was, it would be, every year, the Mets. They've done it again.
Meet the Mets. They screwed up once again.
I don't understand I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, I know Pedro was good. Like, there was a time when he was good. But to give him this contract, it's asinine. Unbelievable.
I don't see the problem here. You give a guy a 3-year contract, guy who can't go further than 6 innings into a game, and he does want to take an MRI because his shoulder's shot. I don't see the problem here.
Yeah, but you get a midget thrown in.
You do get the midget thrown in.
And he's
You
kinda
get an
cool.
automatic team mascot. Him and Mr. Met are going to be flying around the stands,
Oh, man.
making friends everywhere. It's going to be great for publicity.
This signing makes the Jeffrey Hammond signing look... Okay, I'll cut it off there. Fine.
Jeffrey Hammonds didn't have any talent. Pedro does. You're
Pedro
done.
said he will come to spring training on time, though, this year.
Oh, that's
Decided
good.
to work.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
you know what? That's great then.
A little more work on that shoulder.
Class act.
So, Scott, if they're the biggest loser, who's the biggest winner so far?
It's really hard to say who the biggest winner is, but you know what? The Brewers are actually up there. I mean, they haven't gone out and signed a marquee free agent, but they basically did by the Carlos Lee trade. They took on the salary. There weren't free agents out there that we could really afford.
All right. Chad, what do you think?
Biggest loser, man, I'd have to think about that. I think, the Dodgers would have been if they would have accepted a Randy Johnson trade. But I think Arizona had a chance to be good, especially in kind of a subpar division. And I think they threw it away. I mean, if they could have kept Randy Johnson, obviously Randy wanted to go. If they could have kept Sexton, I think they could have been good. Granted, that was free agency. I don't know. I think Arizona kind of hurt themselves. Biggest winner, I would say, tie between Seattle. I think they did some great things, especially with Oakland getting rid of a lot of their quality
getting
players.
Beltran and Sexton.
Anaheim's going to be great. Normally they're going to be good, but I think that Seattle has a great chance of winning that division now out of nowhere. Also, I think biggest winner, just one deal, get Randy Johnson going to New York. I mean, Steinbrenner gets what he wants. The Beltran thing, as of this taping, has not been settled. I just think Randy Johnson, just the key corner piece for them to win the World Series. Once again, I think the Yankees are the biggest winner right now.
Isn't it easy
One
to be
deal.
a big winner though when you have a payroll of over $200 million?
But the thing is, they raise the ticket prices outrageously. The fans come out in record numbers.
Exactly.
If the fans are going to pay that money and they get the cable contracts, Steinbrenner's not pocketing it. He's spending the money. The fans, if they're going to pay that money, they deserve to get it well spent. So I have no problem with that
As
whatsoever.
big of the winners the Yankees were, my winner of the offseason easily is the Boston Red Sox. What the Boston Red Sox have done by not signing Pedro Martinez, that freed them up.
Yep.
Amazing. And I think they got the bargain of the offseason with Wade Miller. Wade Miller signing for the contract he did, just a one-year deal just to prove himself that he's healthy. The guy could be outrageous this year. Not to mention, they lost Nomar last year. All right, no big deal. They moved on. But all of a sudden, they got a guy who's better than him. For a
Renteria.
lower price than expect, for, was it 4 years, $40 million for Edgar Renteria? Edgar Renteria is one of the best shortstops in the league so far. His career is only getting better every year. I think the guy's a legitimate 320 candidate, 20 homers, 80 RBIs every year, Gold Glove defense.
Who did
He's
Matt
outrageous.
Clement sign with?
Well, on that note,
Another great signing.
I'm just curious.
another great signing. You
Who
don't
did he
know.
sign with?
All right, we're going to ignore Scott's idiotic statements and move on to a couple
Fine.
other
Who's going to have a better year, Matt Clement or Pedro?
I think Matt Clements will have a better year than Pedro Martinez will. I think that the way that he's
The
going to be pitching,
stadiums, though.
stadiums are tough, but
The one thing I want to say about Wade Miller, and it just hurts being a Brewer fan, because when I saw the Red Sox got him for $1.5 million,
oh, it was ridiculous.
oh, I mean, the Brewers could have given him $3 or
hurts so
$4 million, and he would still take the Red Sox over us. And for a team like the Red Sox to get great deals on Renteria and Wade Miller,
It just hurts.
it hurts because
Especially
obviously
the
we're
high-
going to get Renteria, but to get someone like Wade Miller for $1.5 million,
The high-priced pitchers are going for this year. Much worse pitchers were getting signed for a lot more.
Exactly.
Orlando Hernandez gets 2 years, $8 million, and Wade Miller gets a year for $1.5 million. Is absolutely just mind-boggling.
That's a great
I
point.
couldn't explain that. And then they also kept Jason Varitek, which I think is a huge deal. The guy he strikes out too much, but he does control his pitches well.
And he's a leader.
He's one of those tough guys. He really does carry the team. I think that fight with A-Rod last year really carried that team to bigger things. Plus, he hits 26 homers, 80 RBIs every year.
And the Red Sox got what they wanted in that deal, too. Varitek demanded 5 years, but I think he only got 4.
Exactly.
So the Red Sox got what they wanted
And
here.
on the note of Wade Miller, though, the biggest loser of the offseason, which is great for the Brewers, I think is definitely going to be the Houston Astros. The Astros, they needed to keep Carlos Beltran to be able to compete this year. And Carlos Beltran looks as if he's all but ready to move on. And at this point, they lost Wade Miller, so it looks like it's all but sure that they're going to have a couple chops in the rotation next year.
And if they lose Miller, they may lose. I'm sorry.
If
If
they
they lose
lose-
Beltran,
if they
they
lose
may lose
Beltran.
Clemens too.
And while we're talking about free agent signings, we got one, I guess, our big free agent acquisition this year for the Milwaukee Brewers. I would say on par with signing Edgar Renteria would be Damian Miller, our 35-year-old, 3-year, $8.75 million catcher. Scott, what do you think?
I still thought it was a good signing, even though he's 35, even though they were looking at his shoulder extra long and all that kind of
Even
stuff.
though his career high batting average is 270.
Which is
though
better than what we had.
Even though it's 50 points higher than any catcher we've ever had.
Even though his career high RBIs is 58 when they got when he was
Since Ted
34 years
Simmons.
old.
Best catcher we've had since Ted Simmons.
Since
Surhoff,
Dave Nielsen, maybe,
Yeah.
who was an all-star. Let's not forget about that.
who couldn't play defense.
But Chad, what do you think?
I thought it was a decent signing. I mean, the hometown feel. He's better in Council was, I think, and just what we need. He still is decent offense. I mean, he's a former All-Star. Not many years back, he was an All-Star when we had the game at Miller Park.
Yeah.
And just our offense at catcher has just been horrid, to say the least. So I think we had to do something as far as getting something from the catcher position. And even you said he could bat 6 or 7 for us, which
Yeah.
wouldn't be bad considering the lineup that's starting to shape up right now.
I think it was a good deal in some respects. I think he'll be good for the first year. But what catcher improves offensively when he goes into his mid-30s? The guy's
Yeah.
going to be wearing down.
2 years would have been nice, but
2 years have been
we
great.
probably
3 years
could-
we probably had to pay.
That's
to
the
get a straight
situation,
year.
though, when you're a team like the Brewers. You have to overspend or you have
Which-
to give an extra year, and it hurts,
that's the
like
way it
Jeffrey
works.
Hammond.
And we were just talking about that with Boston. And you know what? That's why we don't really go after free agents. And I know the fans get mad, but you know what? The way to improve the team is trading, and we really did that
And we
this
really
year.
did well.
And
But
drafting.
Damian Miller, the thing is, before Matt Clement's price got driven up by the Red Sox of the world, he actually wanted to come. Almost came to Milwaukee. Doug Melvin said we had a legit chance in him because he wanted to throw to Damian Miller. If guys are looking this much, just loving throwing to the guy, I would think he'll help our rotation, especially with Chad Moeller already. He'll probably still catch sheets, and maybe Doug Davis. They're not sure yet, but Capuano's a guy that could use a little bit of help, and plus guys like Hendrickson or Head De La Rosa, a guy who's probably going to make our rotation because he's out of options. They keep him up here. So a guy like him, he could be big, although he could also be the albatross around our neck for the next couple of years.
I would have really liked to see us get Clement.
Well, no kidding.
It just wasn't going to happen, though.
And the dumb statement of the day goes to Scott Bartell.
Well, if we would have
Congratulations.
signed him for $10 million a year,
Look
would
at
that
that.
have been worth it?
This is a UWM graduate right here. Congratulations.
Hey.
Yeah,
go
thanks
Panthers.
for tarnishing my UWM
Go
degree.
Panthers. Way
That's
to go.
really harsh, actually.
All right. I think that wraps it up for our welcome
So
back
I
to
get
the
in trouble
Brew
for
Crew
stating
Review.
the obvious.
Scott, go
Unbelievable.
stand in the corner.
No.
All right, that finished our episode. Thank you, Chad, Scott.
I wish
Hopefully
the
we'll have
Brewers would sign
Craigers.
Carlos Beltran.
Craigers has been insightful comments. We're glad to have him.
We could have afforded Clement, though.
And all right, he's
Get your amicable cards
ignore him.
filled.
But all right, see you next time with Brew Crew Review. We miss you, Lisa Durgan. So long.
I thought love was only true in fairy tales, and for someone else, but not for me. Our love was out to get me. That's the way it seemed. Disappointment haunted all my dreams. Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried. I thought love was more or less a given thing. Seems the more I gave, the less I got. What's the use in trying? And all you get is pain. When I needed sunshine, I got rain. Oh, then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace